Alright, so we're gonna go over like the best way to keep Claude on track when you are building a project. I use three files, Claude.md, which is pretty standard, but then I add on roadmap.md and changelog.md. All right, so I already have the prompt written up, so we didn't have to wait here and do this. But essentially, I first asked Claude to go into deep planning mode. That's very important, otherwise it just goes off the rails. And then I tell him what the goal is, that we're going to build a link shortener app. Obviously, if you're building something more in depth, you're going to give it a lot of context there. And then I say, I want you to create yourself a CLAUDE.md, roadmap, and changelog.md. The CLAUDE.md should hold vital information for the project and instruct Claude to update the roadmap when to-dos are completed and added or altered. So here we've already told them what the roadmap.md is and Claude.md is. The changelog file, and this is so important, should track all changes and decisions to our project. And I added this one later on as I was using Claude because of the fact that there were so many changes that were happening, and I would want to pause creating and coding and things like that. Then I'd go back and Claude would have no idea where we were at. Then I asked Claude to keep this organized once these are created. Then I have it create an agent that knows when to kick off to keep these updated and keep those files all updated. So that way this is all happening automatically and I don't have to go and be like, hey Claude, make sure those are updated, which is more convenient. And of course, I want this all in the proper folder structure. I do also use Depot GitHub Action Runners because it's just faster. You can use standard GitHub Action Runners if you want as you're pushing up to GitHub, but why would you do that when you can do it 3 times faster? That's not the point. I tell it which repo I want to go to, put it under public repository. And again, I retell it to enter deep planning mode because again, sometimes it just skips that, but you want to make sure it does that. Review these instructions, and then I implicitly tell him, her, let me know if you have any questions. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, so here you can see that it did come back with questions. So what tech stack do you want to use for this link shortener? Database, features, deployment. Now we're gonna hit submit answers. And now it's gonna go back into planning mode. Let's review the plan that we have here that Claude came back with. Create meta files. This is the important part for us right now. Claude.md, project instructions for Claude, project overview, tech stack conventions, instructions to update roadmap when tasks are completed, added, altered, instructions to update changelog.md when changes or decisions are made, coding conventions, common commands. Roadmap.md, structured roadmap, organized by phase with checkboxes, phases, core, dashboard and analytics, Docker and CI, polish, and future. Changelog.md, decisions and changelog. Reverse chronological entries with dates, format, date, summary, blah, blah, blah. That is great. And then it has 1C, create the auto update agent. Create.Claude agents, update project docs. A custom Claude Code agent that triggers when tasks are completed, features added, or decisions made. And that is the magic. Okay, so now it's at the point where it's actually creating the Claude.md file. So let's open that while it's doing it. Link shortener demo overview, a full tech stack, great. Full stack Next.js link shortener. It tells us the org, the repo, the full tech stack in here, project structure, conventions. This is exactly what we asked for. Common commands, meta files, and it tells them what to do. And then it tells them exactly how to update it and which agent to call in. Great. Let's go in the changelog, link shortener demo changelog. It adds like our very first things that we did. Wonderful. And then we can open up the roadmap. So this starts, it lays out the entire roadmap here. And you can see phase 1, it's already done all of these things. And then we have, phase 2, phase 3, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So we can hit yes, we want to proceed there. All right, and now it has created our agent. So you are responsible for keeping the project's roadmap and changelog in sync with completed work. When to run, a task or feature has been completed, a new task or feature has been added to the plan, an important decision has been made, the project scope has changed. So what we are going to expect to see is that once Claude has finished, it should kick off the agent to update all of our roadmap, our changelog file. Let's check our YAML file. Okay, so this does have depot in there. That's great. Okay, so you can see here that it said that all files are in place. Now let me update the roadmap and changelog to reflect all completed work. So it is kicking that off, where it is going to update our changelog. You can see this phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Key decisions: use Prisma v7, use Nanoid v3, analytics page fetches from an internal API router. So it made all these decisions as it was building. And then you can also see in roadmap, it has checked everything that has been completed. However, it has not taken care of phase 5 yet. And this is great. And again, of course, when Claude finishes up, it tells us all of these things. Let's take a look. Obviously, we'll create the GitHub repo, blah, 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 blah. So let's go ahead and just push like one small update and it'll kick off the agent just to show you this. Hey, Claude, I actually changed my mind. I want this to have a local database for now while we build. I don't think it's necessary to have a complicated backend DB for our demo. So it should take this and it will make all the necessary updates, and it should kick off that agent to update the roadmap, make the notes in the changelog, and then of course make the changes as well. All right, so when it went through, it switched from Postgres to SQLite, which is great. It updated the CLAUDE.md, which is what we wanted. And you can see the agent is running and it's updating the changelog. It's reading our roadmap. It's reading the changelog again, and it's going to run in the background. And let's take a look at what it is doing. All right, so changelog here. Change Prisma schema provider from Postgres to SQLite. Great. It entered that just like we wanted it to. Let's go down to the roadmap. Migrate from Postgres to local SQLite, which is exactly what we wanted it to do. Perfect. All right, so as you can see, this process works. It keeps it very clean. It is the best way I have found to keep Claude from forgetting everything, and I highly recommend you using this setup. Occasionally, you do have to remind the agent to kick off, but once you remind it a few times, it basically continues to run from there. Subscribe for more, and we'll chat soon.